Sarah,
Yep, I'm
how's it
here.
go? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about you?
Good, good. Hey, I've got McCain in the room with me. He's my loan officer assistant. He's going to take some notes. Oh, there he
I'm
is.
here.
He popped in. Can you
What's
see
up?
us?
Yep, I can see you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for filling out the All About You form. I want to. There you are. Hi, Zach. How's it going?
Wow.
It's
Good.
like virtual. And you remind me where you guys are physically.
Tampa, Florida.
Yep.
In Tampa. In Tampa. Um, I wanted to go through your All About You. Do you have the virtual Smart Start packet?
Yes, let me pull
I
it
have
up
one
really
on here
quick.
too.
Yeah, and McCain might share it.
To make sure.
Yeah, I have it in my email.
Okay, we'll go through it. But I want to start with your All About You. And first and foremost, I think Lamandry's, we talked about this. Sarah, you met him kind of virtually through like filling out a form, correct?
Well, I never had to fill out a form with him yet. It's
Okay,
just
but
mostly been phone conversations.
got it. But this was like an internet, you found the Huffaker group through kind of an internet search, or they found you, or vice versa.
Yes,
Okay, great.
exactly.
And then he said what did they say about us? That you were very helpful for first-time home buyers. This was at the bottom of your All About You.
Correct.
Great. Well, I think we are very helpful with first-time home buyers. Hopefully today will prove that. You put on you'd like to learn the following. You want to learn if you can afford to move right now. You check that box. You wanted to evaluate renting versus owning. So we can go through that. You had the question of what are my down payment options? Teach us the home buying 101 timeline and discuss home affordability scale in detail. So I think the goal would be if we could hit all 5 of these, would that be helpful for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Remind me, have you gone through this process at all anywhere else and been pre-qualified or gone through mortgage stuff?
No, this is kind of the first time.
Awesome. Well, I'll say this. We created all this material over a long period of time, 28 years of me being in the business. I went to different seminars and things on how to essentially give clients better service and teach them not only the product that they're getting, but the process that they're going to go through. And along the way, are there some things that people need to learn? Because if we just dove into your credit and your stuff, and like, hey, here, fill out the form. Here's your credit score. Here's your income. Here's the max you qualify for. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about right now would be skipped. So I think that this is important. And I've learned this from a bunch of different mentors and teachers and kind of put it into a presentation that no one gave me permission. I just said to heck with it because all the other stuff I'd seen, I just didn't like. So you will be experiencing 28 years and a lot of stolen, semi-stolen material that I tweaked to my liking. Next, the money part. You check no to all the boxes on just a financial planner, tax specialist, an insurance agent, anyone assisting you with your money. You don't do a monthly budget. How much do you save per month? You put varies, and how much goes into your 401k, that varies. I think before we get to the fun, the most important thing about choosing and working with a lender to you guys, communication, interest rates, and willing to explain the process. Tell me a little bit about communication. What does that look like or need to look like?
I mean, it's kind of a low bar. It's kind of just like people who actually like respond to emails, respond to text messages, which you'd think would just be a given when it comes to any sort of business, but unfortunately it's not. So yeah, just, you know, someone that kind of checks in with me and I'm able to check in with them and they basically don't ghost me.
Well, hopefully you haven't felt ghosted.
No.
Good. Interest rates.
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with the world of mortgages, but obviously with interest rates being kind of on the higher side these days, just trying to see, I guess, who would have the best deal in that regard.
Got it. And I think here's the fun part of interest rates. We all look at the same body, the bond market that kind of affects rates for every bank. So the departments that price regular mortgage loans, which we're about to talk about, it's a commodity to a certain degree. So what I found is that when someone's advertising a very low rate and possibly even low fees, normally anybody who leads with, hey, rates are, right now rates are getting destroyed and they're going up, and rates are going to be somewhere between 6.75% with a lot of fees and 7.75%. That window was 6% to 7% 2 weeks ago. It has shifted up. And a lot of factors have caused that. So I tell you this, if someone out there was advertising 5.99% 2 weeks ago and they put it in the paper or the internet today, it would be very misleading. That said, I think interest rates were very competitive at Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, and I don't think Lemandries and the Huffaker Group would recommend our services if they didn't feel like we could take good care of their clients and their referrals, especially with the product part of the mortgage.
Right.
Willing to explain the process. I'm going to assume I can fill that one in with some of this is going to be service today with explaining kind of how all this works.
Right. Absolutely.
You can always email us or call us if we decide to work together, and there's never a bad question or an interruption. We're mortgage people. We work, a lot, and I might not be able to answer after hours, but I certainly will know if you text me and it's something urgent that, there's always a way to answer a question and there's no bad question. Last little fun part for us. I'm looking through. So you're both from Tampa. Wait a minute. Is that Illinois and the Gators? Or does that say his?
Florida Gators.
Florida. I was like, Illinois and the Gators. Okay. Florida Gators. Gotcha. Favorite restaurants, too many to choose. Okay. Dream vacation, Switzerland. Is someone from there, or why? Why Switzerland? I've never seen that as an answer.
It's like Zach can take this one.
It should be more of an answer. I love Switzerland. Well, we've both been there before, but it's such a romantic place, and we had both been separately that we want to go again now that we're married and explore the wonderful romantic Swiss chocolate and cheese and the gorgeous mountains.
It sounds like you're ready to write poetry over there, and maybe listen. Sounds like a dream vacation.
Literally.
What is it? What is it? The Sound of Music, maybe. You need to
Yes.
need to motivate you. Get that? Don't they go from Germany to Switzerland in the movie?
To Austria, yeah, all over.
Yeah,
the
Austria
place.
to Switzerland. Yeah,
They
escape
anywhere in the mountains. I'm good.
There you go.
Same.
There you go. And Sarah, you have a birthday coming up in June. I'm just looking at this other little details. And you have dogs and cats, Smokey, Eli, and Bobo.
Yep.
Nice. All right. Well, that all about you part, I think I'm just going to stay focused now and take notes with McCain. If you have your Smart Start packet, McCain, pull that up real quick so we can walk through it and then begin. So there's the Smart Start, kind of all about you, what's important to you about working with a lender. So now we're going to go into income, credit, and asset review and really kind of start showing you some details. I think the biggest thing, I'd like to start with the renting versus owning and go through and just use a form that we call, rent versus own. Here it is, rent versus own analysis. And what do you guys rent for right now?
So it includes water and like basically a forced cable package, and all of that together is about $1,600 a month.
Okay, $1,600. Let's do this. Do you have renter's insurance?
Yeah, I think it's like $12 a month or something like that.
Okay, cool. So that top little part just shows renting. It shows you your annual cost to rent, or $19,344. And then you see that last column that shows principal reduction, tax benefit, and monthly appreciation. If you guys were here in my conference room, I'd say, okay, tell me the benefit of renting. What do you get in principal reduction? And then you'd sit there and stare at me and go, and I'd go 0. I already kind of filled them in for you. Tax benefit, 0. Monthly appreciation, well, you don't own it, so nothing. So there's your annual household cost of renting. Now, if we haven't really dove in, how much money do you guys have set aside for a potential down payment? I hadn't looked at your details.
We're still kind of working that out. But I'm hoping that maybe we have at least around 50 grand.
Okay, so 50 grand. So let's just, for discussion purposes, if we did a house price at, McCain, do one at 500,000
Already?
and do 5% down and do an interest rate of 7%. And let's play around with this. So this would compare, if you guys, I can walk you through these details, but if you look at owning a home with 5% down with a 7% interest rate, with 25,000 down and a 475 loan, this is saying that when it's all said and done, the true cost of owning is 36,412. Let's break that down real quick, because the key here, and we can play with any number like this might, and when we get into your qualification, we may have to tweak this considerably, but I just want to show you guys that if a mortgage payment of 3611 is broken down with principal, interest, taxes, home insurance, and mortgage insurance, that the first benefit there in the column 1 is the monthly principal that's reducing the loan. This is so basic, but believe it or not, I didn't really even know this 3 years into teaching mortgages and selling mortgages. Were you aware of principal reduction in an amortizing loan?
Yes.
Ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when rates are higher, the principal piece is less. So it's nearly $400 a month, or about $4,800 a year, that's paying down the balance. So your mortgage, one of the things I tell people is we could look at appreciation rates in homes, but there's also maintenance rates of keeping things up to speed. So I like to say, hey, if we scroll down to the bottom, scroll down like a 5-year cost, your mortgage balance would go down 23,361 in 5 years, which essentially is savings. And there's the amortization schedule. Scroll back up real quick. So ultimately, I think that the one thing that most people miss in owning a home, you guys are married.
Yes. Yes.
So married couples have a standard deduction of nearly $26,000. It says the standard 2023 tax deduction, if you're single, $12,950. If you're married, $25,900. When a lot of people buy a home, and let me ask you, what would be your big impetus? Is there an impetus to buy versus continue to rent for you guys?
Well, obviously, we don't want to keep throwing money into a black hole.
Okay.
By renting.
By the way, there is answer number, like if this was The Price is Right, that's like the most popular answer. We're just sick and tired of throwing money away. Sometimes it's like, hey, one of our friends did it, so there's a social reason. And then sometimes there's like, we hate living in apartment complexes, so we have to buy. Okay, you're nodding. So the key would be, what's the impetus? Sometimes people are like real planning driven, or like the tax incentive. So the tax incentive shows you that if you don't have deductions, you just file a standard deduction if you don't have 25,900 in deductions. This shows you benefit number 2, the tax deductions are the mortgage interest and the property tax. Those would be, in this example, $3,000 a month. Multiplied by 12, your annual tax deductions would be $36,100. Now, that's more than your standard deduction of nearly $26,000. So all of a sudden, you would become what they call itemized filers. You're filing an itemized deduction. About 25% of Americans file an itemized, or maybe even less, 20% file an itemized deduction. So you could own a home and not exceed, but if this were the example, you guys would all of a sudden get an additional tax refund. This calculation is, we try to be very conservative. It says $2,200. Imagine if it was $2,400, it would be the equivalent of about a $200 a month reduction net on your payment. So that $3,600 payment that we showed you would really feel like $3,400 because of your tax benefit. And then benefit number 1, principal reduction. What we didn't show was appreciation rates, and that's always what people show online as like the number 1 reason to buy. So then everybody feels stupid if they don't buy because, hey, you should buy now because it's going to go up. Now, statistics have shown that houses do appreciate, and that's one of the biggest benefits, but I'm just showing you the standard stuff so you understand. Does this form make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll send you a copy of this one, but we might tweak it because this might not be affordable, but I just wanted to show you just to kind of get your appetite so that you can see numbers and start to understand some of the breakdown. I think the biggest thing in, McCain, can you go to the timeline? And I'll walk them through the timeline before we jump in to the full credit and income piece.
Yep.
So the timeline, we kind of just talked about it. Decide your why. You guys are sick and tired of like putting money in a hole. Number 2, assemble your team, hire a lender. Hey, that's what we're talking about today. And it says at the bottom there, review credit, income, understand what's affordable to you, and then get approved for your loan up front. Number 3, hire your realtor. Or, hey, you found your realtor and now you're looking for lenders. To me, that's it. This is all just under the assemble your team piece. And obviously, we trust the Huffaker Group. They've done a great job. I've known, like I told you earlier, I've known David for a while. He's a total pro. So you've kind of got lucky in finding the online people that are, that have solicited you and that are good. Because there's plenty of not good realtors and not good lenders. Start looking for homes once you know your affordability range. Make your offer, have your offer accepted, renegotiate your terms, finalize loan details and orders, get cleared to close, review your CD, closing day, and celebration. So those are all kind of the steps. I didn't go through and read it all, but I will tell you this. Probably the number 1 thing you need to know if this meeting goes well, and then we understand your affordability piece, and then begin to get your mortgage loan approved up front, is that this market is vicious, and having an upfront loan approval and someone who's willing to make calls on your behalf and send letters to listing agents and the other agent that represents the seller is one of those things that's like super critical in you getting under contract.
For sure.
4 years ago, not the case at all. Right now, 100%. So there's more detail in each one of these stages. And I think as you read this maybe tonight and we follow up, if there's more questions about this part of the timeline, unload on us on an email. We have something called the Homebuyer class, which goes into each kind of thing more in detail. We can send you that. Pop back over. This is just all material that you guys can read from a distance to really load your knowledge gun, if you will. All right. So I think the big thing here's something about each part of your credit, your income, and your assets. Again, this is stuff you guys can read. I want to take notes now and kind of prepare your mortgage scale and then go through your credit and your income and your asset piece so that we can really get to the number part and so that you guys are aware of like you said, hey, can we afford to move? What are down payment options? And discuss the affordability scale in detail. So McCain, will you show them the mortgage scale?
Here we go.
All right, awesome. So Sarah and Zach, do you guys know your credit or your credit scores?
I don't know the exact number, but I know it's somewhere between 720 and 750.
Okay. And Zach?
I'm anywhere between 750 and 800.
Okay. And you guys are getting these scores from where?
Credit Karma.
Credit Karma. Okay, awesome. Credit Karma is one of the biggest consumer sites, and it gives you your consumer credit score. Your mortgage credit score is determined with the same software, but different qualifications to come up with a mortgage risk score versus a consumer risk score. What I tell clients is at some point, we will pull your credit. We can do a soft pull or an actual inquiry. You'll need that when you're getting pre-approved. Your mortgage credit scores, if you got 720, 750 to 800, somewhere in that range, we'll know when we know. And I always tell people, don't be surprised if mortgage credit scores are lower. Here's why. It's based on different algorithm. And there's times where they're the same, but don't be surprised if mortgage credit scores come in lower. And mortgage credit scores, the reason why we start with this is this kind of opens up everything. Your score determines product availability. The next piece it helps with is down payment options. Where do you guys work? Sarah?
So I work at a place called the Shopping Center Group.
Uh-huh.
But
And how do they pay you, Sarah?
salary.
Salary. What's your annual salary?
It might be a tad more because of like random bonuses, but generally it's about 65,000.
65,000. So if we're for crude purposes, 5416, that's 65,000. And is it like an hourly or is it salary?
Salary.
Salary. Okay. Do they ever pay you a bonus?
Once in a while, it's not like consistent. It's just kind of like a surprise, and usually that's about 1,000 here, 1,000 there.
Okay. Got it. And how long have you been there?
So I've been with them for like a year, but I was with the company I was with before that for 5.5, and they got sold to this current one.
Okay, so you essentially got absorbed, so your pay stubs changed, but you're doing the same function.
Actually, I have a different like job now too. So I started off as one position and got promoted to another
nice.
one.
Nice. What's your current job role?
Senior graphic designer.
Senior graphic designer. That's you told me that when we connected last week. Zach, what do you do?
So I am in sales, and I actually sell Intoxilock devices, which are the breathalyzer breathe to start engines for people who get DUIs. Whoopsie. They've told me salary base plus commission is anywhere between 60 and 70,000 a year, quota goal. So to be determined, but somewhere in that range.
And you just started this job?
Yes.
Like when?
Like literally, I left my old job yesterday.
Oh, exciting. What is your, that's awesome. What's your salary with the new job, not the other incentives?
Oh, base rate is $20 per hour without commissions.
20 per hour at 40 hours times 52 weeks. So your base is 41,600.
Yeah.
So here's just a quick kind of thing that we'll talk about. The rules around qualifying. we're normally looking for a 2-year job history. So people switch jobs all the time. And then what we're also looking for is base income that's guaranteed, like salary or hourly, and we'll confirm that. And with you starting this new job, I think, Sarah, you mentioned you can work from anywhere, correct?
Within the company, like whenever because they have 20 offices across the country, so I could pretty much go to any of those, but then he'll be remote, so he can really work from anywhere.
Okay, but if you're moving here, what they'll have to sign when we confirm your employment is that they're aware you're moving to Tennessee and you have a job here.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's called a remote working letter. Or they're transferring you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is that going to be a problem?
No.
Okay, cool. So on paper, your joint incomes are $8,833 or $8,883. What's on your credit report as far as debt? Car payments, minimum credit card payments, student loan payments, or any other types of installment loans?
No student loans.
Just the 2 vehicles. So I believe I have about 12,000 left on my Hyundai Elantra.
What's the
Probably
payment?
about this.
You're cutting out. Your monthly payment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, $400 a month payment.
Okay, 400. And then what's the car payment on the other car?
It's about the same, 400 a month.
Okay. And then do you guys just have a credit card you charge up with food and groceries and such and then pay off every month?
Pay off every month. Yep.
Okay, so a credit card you use. We'll do like a $50 minimum payment on a $1,000 balance. It could be more. Do you have any student loans or any other installment loans?
Nope.
No.
Okay. How much is in your saving and checkings account right now, roughly?
It's like 30,000.
30,000? Got it. How much is in your retirement / 401k?
I've got 10,000 in mine. What's yours?
I think I have so I rolled everything over to my Fidelity account, and I believe right now that has about 20,000.
20. Okay. And I think, Zach, when you just left the old job, you're going to turn yours into an individual. It's going to turn into an IRA.
IRA. Yep.
And then Sarah, yours, if you're still with the same company and you have 20,000, you can borrow against it.
Gotcha. Huh.
Yeah, and you can check with, you just said Fidelity.
Yep.
Check with Fidelity. You can borrow against it. You should be able to call a 1-800 number and say, hey, if I want to buy a home, how much can I borrow against my 401k? And they'll tell you. You're borrowing against yourself and you pay yourself back.
Gotcha.
So that could be an option when you're like, hey, we'd really like to have 50. Do you have an opportunity for a gift or any other investments anywhere? Anything liquid or illiquid?
TBD.
TBD. Gotcha. All right. And then, so this right now, if we plug this all in and we go back up to the top, and McCain, if you did 350,000 for the first two, 375,000 and 400,000. No. Yeah, 400 and 400. I mean, we could do 3% and 5% down if their scores are good, or we could do 5 and 10% down.
You like that? 3 and 5, or you want to go 5 and 10?
I'm thinking out loud here. Do 5 and 10. Because there's obviously, they're wanting to save more, but it didn't, yeah, it did default. Okay, and then do do 7% on a rate. Maybe even do like 7.25.
Got a VA funding fee here.
Oh, okay. You got a default. Okay, cool.
7.25.
Yeah.
All right, I'll fix that in a sec.
Be sending over that
All right. And then with taxes, it's not defaulting. It's not-
Yeah, they are. For
That's deep.
taxes.
Go
Go
ahead
ahead.
and change it to 0.8. No, you're right. 0.7.
Yeah, I don't think it's that high.
Okay, sorry. And then homeowners do 100, 110, and 120. 100, yeah, 110 and 120, just graduating. HOA, let's say $25. And mortgage insurance with good credit scores, what do you think?
I think it's going to be like 0.32 and 0.25.
Perfect. But they're joint borrowers, so it brings it down a little
Yeah.
bit. So why don't you go
Yeah.
0.3 and 0.2? Especially if he's got nearly an 800.
Right.
There we go.
So there we go.
So guys, if we look at this scale, can you see this?
Here we go.
Try to enlarge it
Yeah.
a little bit.
I want to give them both views.
Okay. Can you see this? Zach and Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
So basically, look at the payments in the green. Shows 26 to 2,900, or essentially it's kind of going.
Well, it's alternate
yeah.
5 and 10.
Yeah, it's a little weird. So lowest payment on there is 2,500, highest payment's $3,000. McCain, scroll to the bottom so they can see something at the very second page bottom. Do you guys see those debt to income percentages?
Is this where
Right.
you are?
There, stop. The qualification numbers. So as long as our qualification, depending upon the program, can stay under 50% of your income with your debt, we're going to be okay. We don't know this until we go into underwriting officially, but this is a good indicator for us that these numbers are doable and that your loan would be approved, assuming we can piece all the puzzle together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Zach?
Excellent. Yes.
Zach, you sound like you're talking in a tunnel. I can't really hear you anymore.
My connection must be bad, but
Okay.
yeah, I can see it.
There you go.
I got you.
Awesome. You clear now. So go back up to the top. The real numbers, guys, in terms of affordability and can you afford to move right now, if we look at the monthly payments and then know that, we can reverse engineer this to show you kind of the rent versus own piece. We started with a $500,000 property with 5% down. That's going to be a little too high, right? But I just wanted to show you something so you understood the math. Here we go. A $400,000 home with 5% down with a $3,000 payment. You probably wouldn't have as big of a tax deduction, but the principal reduction piece is there. And, the benefit of owning could look a little different. And McCain, when we send them, why don't we use column 5 in the mortgage scale for the rent versus own so they can see.
Got it.
Do these monthly payments scare you guys or feel comfortable or?
Yeah, it's kind of what we were hoping to be around anyway, because we probably wouldn't be spending half a mil on a house, especially with the prices right now, but about 350 was kind of what we were thinking anyway.
Okay,
And if we find something even tad lower, even better.
great.
So that's about where we're
Okay.
going to be.
Awesome.
Great.
If you scroll down to the total funds needed, it's showing you 27, 44, 29, 48, 31, 51. It's kind of graduating up. So clearly the first two where it was the 350, you don't have 44,000 right now, but that's also, we're not, and that, by the way, put in sample points 1. We're a little off. These
Yeah.
numbers are going to go up. Sorry. When we're doing a mortgage scale in front of everyone, it's a little difficult sometimes. So scroll back down. So that's 30,000. Wait, 30, 48, 32, 51. So
Yeah, the darker green are 5% down and the lighter green are 10% down.
so 31,000, 32,000, or 34,000. Well, I'm chopping off that 9. So 31, 33, and 35 are more realistic. There's a number there that shows the estimated closing costs. It shows the down payment and then it shows the prepaid and escrowed items. There's also one that says seller credits. Don't know if that's going to be in the cards, depending on an offer that you might make, but there have been seller credits on different houses where they pay for a portion of the closing costs or the escrows.
That'd be nice.
Right.
Yeah, so, I
So-
mean, it just takes off the closing costs, however much they give you. You can lower
Yeah.
your,
So I think this, if we go back and I'm looking at my other computer, if I look at, can I afford to move right now? What are my down payment options? And show me the affordability scale. This is kind of answering the question. This document, your mortgage scale, really answers that question of, can you do this? Cash is really important, money that we verify, and then this monthly payment number. The key is going to be, interest rates can change these slightly, but you're not going to see a monster shift unless there was a huge change in interest rates. Do you have questions for me about the mortgage scale or any of the things that you had checked? Can you afford to move? Any questions right now about any of this?
I don't, unless he does.
This is amazing. I just had to give props to the spreadsheet wizard that created this. Incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I stole
Maybe I'll
this.
just make a meme.
Yeah. Was that McCain? Did McCain hear that? Or did Benton hear that? Yeah, he did. So it's
Yeah.
funny. Zach, I stole this from a guy named Don, who stole it from a guy named Steve in 1997. And at the top, it said qualify. So I named it your mortgage scale. So I'll take that. And I made it more like user friendly
Colorful.
on the eye. And then half the other people that I've ever worked with that didn't like certain things tweaked it. So you've seen a modified version 76 times over. So thank you for noticing. So here's a thought. At this point, I think we're, 35 minutes in. I think the big thing, McCain, go to the Smart Start packet, and I want to show them a couple of things from here. So guys, read this stuff here on this page that kind of gives you do's and don'ts about your income, your assets, and your credit, and then a little bit of information about other types of properties, especially if you're looking at condos. And this is just stuff that we want to make you aware of. Please read it and know that if there's any questions about it, again, in Discovery, you can ask us more if one of these jumps out. And Zach, I think on the jobs, you've just switched. So we'd want to get a first pay stub and the things that are required from switching jobs. Go to the next page. We did the true rent versus own. So there we go. We're going to send you your mortgage scale. Normally we say 24 hours, but we've kind of prepared it for you now. Keep scrolling through. So this is kind of the biggie to me, being pre-qualified, being pre-approved, or being underwritten up front. And I think that the biggest thing I can tell clients right now, and again, you guys don't know us. We've just met you through this connection through the Huffaker group. But I will say this, most banks and like online lenders are doing the first base, pull your credit, you tell them stuff verbally, and then they give you a letter and they say, hey, you're pre-qualified, go shop for a home. Pre-approval could happen the same way, or on a call like this, or even if you guys were physically here. The big difference is there's a hard credit pull. And then normally with pre-approval, a lender is asking for your pay stub, your bank statements, your W-2s. You know, they're asking for the basic things to verify, and your assets. I said bank statements. This is a tricky one because people hear the word approval, but what happens is you go in through the local, like my local team would just put it all together and go, okay, based on what we're seeing, and we might get a verification of employment from your employer. We run it through what they call an automated underwriting model. And you get an approval. I'm not going to say that those are bad. And I'm not going to say that we don't do those all the time. We do. I'll just tell you that 28 years later, I'm not an underwriter, and nobody on my team is an underwriter, and nobody out there that doesn't promote this, because a lot of places won't do it. If they're telling you approved, you're just branch approved. You're still going to go into underwriting and get this call. Hey, Zach, Sarah, hey, we're going to need some more stuff. And it's like, wait, I thought we were approved. So third base for us is upfront underwriting. And it just kind of outlines what we do. We spend a lot of time and energy and resources doing that. And I think that the biggest thing and the biggest benefit of doing it is knowing that probably number one, that you actually have a loan commitment and your loan actually has a number, and an underwriter has said, hey, this is approved subject to this and this. Normally it's just verification of final deposit for, down payment, or appraisal. It's not a lot of things. Some like Zach, you had mentioned, hey, a possibility of a gift. Let's say we had you officially underwritten up front, and you guys were like, hey, my aunt is going to give us $10,000. We could put it on the loan application, tell the underwriter it's coming, and they would condition proof of the $10,000 gift from Aunt Edna. Please tell me your aunt's name isn't Edna.
Luckily not. That would be a curse.
So I think what we tell everyone is it's okay. All of these are better than nothing, but if you're going to do it, go to third base, because your likelihood of scoring, to our baseball analogy, and getting your home is going to be much higher when you're on third base. And I tell everyone this, if you choose to do it with us, this is when, the access level, we know you're earnestly like out there. We're on your team. We're your advocate. We're talking to your agent at the Huffaker Group. We're doing all these things all the time. And versus like the bank that might pre-qualify or even pre-approve you, that's not available on Saturday or Sunday when your dream house is coming available and there's competition and we need to go into battle. Scroll down to the next page. So this just shows you what you need and what we would collect. And there's just kind of the benefits. Negotiation, be able to close more quickly, better interest rate, avoid stress. And the better interest rate is really hand in hand with closing more quickly. We talk about what we provide: advocacy, accessibility, and confidentiality. I think those are the biggies. And then it shows you what you'll need to do. With this, everyone says, okay, what are you building me up for? Well, I'm not building you up for anything, but I will tell you this. We collect a deposit of $495 for the upfront approval that goes towards regular closing costs. So I tell people, if you're wanting to buy a home within a year and you feel that we're a good fit for you guys, you will pay zero extra doing this because we're going to be there until you find the place you need. I haven't had one yet that's been a mishap or something where the people that invested the deposit, weren't satisfied. But I don't want make that a deterrent if you only want to get pre-approved. But I can earnestly say, when we're in competition, I haven't had one person who was underwritten up front regret their decision when we knew we could shave that timeline 10 days or show the listing agent a commitment letter and say, hey, their loan is no longer contingent upon loan approval. Here is your upfront. And listing agents do know the difference, by the way. They really do. So I think after that, it just tells you guys, back page just shows you kind of our ongoing support and what we do. And there's the hockey team. There's the lineup there. Just kind of some other things that we do post-closing where we stay in touch with clients. And our goal is really to, hopefully this just isn't the first mortgage that we help you and maybe other family members as well, or friends, or random people you meet at coffee shops or in Switzerland eating chocolate that are Americans. Actually, we'll help Swiss people as long as they qualify with a social. Do you guys have any questions right now?
I don't, unless he does.
So if we plan to get pre-underwritten, which sounds amazing, by the way, and we're planning to hopefully buy a home and close by, let's say, September.
Yeah.
How early do we need to think about doing this?
I would say next week is June, July, August, September. I would recommend at the end of June, about 90 days out, middle to the end of June, we reconnect. And if you want to load, here's the thing. If you want to load up the automated system with all the documents, we can store them until you're ready for us to pull, full credit and do the dance. So you don't have to wait to kind of gather documentation. I would say, your window is within the next month to make that decision.
Yeah.
Because your credit is good for 4 months and then we renew it. So if you have pretty limited credit, or like your window is just the credit card, the 2 car loans and whatever, your score is not going to change every 4 months when the score is updated. So yeah, that's a great question.
Good. That's the head math idea I had anyway. So thank you. Perfect.
Well, I think we've gone through everything that you wanted to learn. We'll send you the home buyer class little pamphlet that has kind of just more details that you guys can read through that we created. I'll let Lamandries know that this was helpful for you guys with your permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And if you guys want to check in with him and let him know, that doesn't hurt us. They like to hear that this was productive. McCain and I will send some follow-up and just kind of details. And then we'll mark in our calendar, Zach and Sarah, to call you on June 15th. If that's a day, I'm not looking at my calendar right now. Does that work?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you become, here's the only other cost. If you guys decide to work with us, this is as good as it sounds. You love our spreadsheet. You successfully find your home. Do you remember the movie The Blues Brothers?
Vaguely.
Remember how they had the big horn? They had the big like loudspeaker on the top of the car, and they were promoting their concert around town, and they were in the car like, hey, tonight, Blues Brothers. You're just going to have to drive up and down whatever street with a bullhorn recruiting buyers for us. That's going to be we're going to get you a closing gift, and then you're going to promote our services with a bullhorn in a new town.
Hey, Mutual of Omaha, do it now.
Mutual of, yeah.
And
Donaldson team.
Very nice.
Yes. By the way, you guys are fun. I love that you've made this learning piece because sometimes it's stressful. And honestly, learning what you didn't know and then kind of applying it and then putting all the pieces together make buying a home a lot easier and a lot less stressful. So thank you for participating. Like I said, we'll send you an email and then we'll follow up on June 15th and go from there. And if there's any questions in between, shoot us emails. Sarah, Zach, you have our contact info. Reach out. Don't be strangers.
All right, that sounds good. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
both. Talk to
Bye.
you later.
Bye.
Hey, McBenton, how do I hit stop on the recording? What do I do now? Hit leave? I hit stop on the recording.
Okay, yeah, we'll just leave.